Hello, everyone, and today is Dojo Live recap show, so you know what that means. It's Monday. We hope that your week is starting off great. My name is Kim Lantis, and I'm airing live from Hermosillo, Sonora, Mexico. Joining me is David. David, your last name, Corvola, right? Is that right?
Corvala,
I got
yes.
it right. Corvola, who is a talent acquisition team member here at Ancora. Thank you for joining me again this week, David.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It was a lot of fun last
No.
week, so excited to
Yeah,
jump in again.
fun with all like my terrible internet connection, but it looks like today is working out a lot better. So the goal of the recap show, everyone, is where we chime in about our opinions and our thoughts of last week's shows, plural, and introduce you to the shows that are coming up this week. So last week we actually had 3 live shows and they were all great. I actually felt very inspired by our guests. I think each and every one of them has a lot of experience. And what I found really inspiring is that all of the companies happen to be very, I think, people focused.
Yeah.
And I found that to be really, really refreshing. So the first show up was with Anne Hand, who's the chairman and CEO of Super League Gaming. And she talked about the infinite brand extensibility of the metaverse. That was on Tuesday. Wednesday, we spoke to Anir Pradhan, who is the COO of Info. And he talked about how to boost employee retention and what is the Great Resignation. And finally, we closed off of the week with Joseph Polverari, who is the co-founder and general partner at Pure Property Management. And he talked about prop tech just being fintech with a P. So which of these shows kind of caught your attention, David, and why?
Well, I think one could easily guess that the one that caught the most attention for me was with Anne in Super League Gaming. Probably what was most transcendental or what was most revealing to me was she specifically said that my generation, 30 below, we don't really separate our virtual persona from our IRL persona. And I didn't realize it until I specifically made a comment about being able to take your cosmetics from one game to another game,
Right.
thereby making digital goods a lot more valuable. And she said that that's a perfect example of how what we decide to wear online, like our characters, the way that we want them to look, is very much representative of who we are. And I did think it was really innovative to see this perspective and now monetize it, make it something profitable by brands being able to exploit this, quite frankly, extremely new and innovative space, which is the metaverse and online goods.
Yeah, I found what they're doing at Super League Gaming to be really interesting. Mostly it's a marketing perspective. She talked about bridging what is the digital universe with the physical universe, and I think it's really great that we're looking to see sort of this bi-directional change, right? Where we can bring our physical selves into games, into the metaverse, and hopefully even reverse that. If something is created in the metaverse and has traction and is attractive, right, to players and individuals, that companies then can take that out and make it real so that we can utilize that in our real lives as well. And just the potential is limitless, right? Even just with market studies and introducing things earlier rather than later, when you've got television and series and anything kind of rolling out. I just find it fascinating. She as an individual is fascinating to me as well. It goes without saying, as a woman, it's really exciting when I get to see women in the C-levels, particularly chief executive officer role with tech companies. So that was great. But I thought she was really inspiring because sharing her journey, right, of learning and continuously growing and discovering how she can be unafraid. And I think that was a really inspiring story.
Yeah, definitely had a very, as you've been mentioning, right? For the past few weeks, we've had a very many shows that are very people focused. More than just the business and the profit. It's very much how we grow as people.
Exactly. And bringing it into people, talking about the Great Resignation and how we can boost employee retention, right? And that was brought to us by Anir Pradhan of Info. And what they do is really help coordinate or make the HR process, I guess, whatever employees are requiring for the types of exchanges, like whether that's loans or like they're looking to buy a house or whatever they need, like employee letters, proof of employment, their financial statements from however many years when they're trying to do these different types of paperwork elements, and how their technology is making that easier for employers and then making that easier for employees, and just this great sort of universe that this is creating, right? I really loved his heart and what they're all about. Really, this idea of how it's the employer's job to help people make their lives outside of work as easy as possible as well. And then coming back to what does that have to do with the Great Resignation? Well, it increases loyalty and just, everyone's happy. The happier you are in your real life, right? The happier you'll be in your work life, I think is the
Yeah,
thought there.
definitely. I do believe one of the most, that's actually something that we also talked about a couple of weeks ago. Legal stuff, legal hurdles in general are just a hassle to go through. And it's one of the many, I would say, undervalued benefits that companies can bring, making your work, not just, getting paid and making your work easy, but also outside of work, how easy it is to be employed by a company outside of work.
Right. And the return on investment also, because then it's making the lives of those employees who work in human resources or in the financial sectors of your company happier and their jobs easier and more efficient as well. The final show was with Joseph Polverari, who is the co-founder and general partner at Pure Property Management. His story was really great, and how he took his personal story for what he helped establish in fintech and making that a reality over the course of, a decade plus, and how that same thing is now happening in prop tech. And I think his story is really fascinating because there's the big three I think he was mentioning, right? Finances, where we live, and I think it was our healthcare that happened to be the most important and the most stressful elements of people's lives. So he's helped be on the forefront of bringing fintech alive. He's now on the forefront of bringing prop tech alive. So we'll see in like the next decade, he'll probably move over to healthcare, right? So did you get a chance to watch that show?
I was not able to catch most of it. I think I was just able to catch the closing statements, actually.
Yeah, that's okay. It makes sense. We're all busy, but hey, guess what? Dojo Live, all of our live shows are recorded, and you can go to the website and check it out anytime you want. Podcast available also. Great plug there, right? So yeah, Joseph's story is really great. And I just think how, property management is something that whether you are the person who is living there or the person who owns the property, or, helping that whole thing happen, utilizing technology is great. And I just, his perspective on that is really refreshing. And I think he's spot on in how, and where we're at. Actually, I think that I appreciated his transparency as well, right? He said, we're kind of in the early stages, right? This level 2, if you want to look at it on a 10. So there's a long way to go. But one of the things I think he remembered that companies need to be wary of is not over promising, right? What they're capable of. And that really stuck with me. Perfect. So those were our shows for last week. Like I said, if you missed them, go ahead and check them out at dojo.live. And what do we got coming up this week? We have 3 shows as well. Tomorrow's show on Tuesday, the 21st, is actually going to be a 10 a.m. show, right? It will not be at our usual 12 o'clock Pacific, but we're going to be speaking with Dan Demers, who's the CEO and co-founder of Cinchi. And that breakup is inevitable, your data and applications, right? And that will be followed up by 12 o'clock Pacific show on Wednesday with Nikhil Gupta of Armor Code. And Thursday will be 12 o'clock Pacific with Surbi Rathori, who is with Symbol AI. All right. So please come check us out every week this week at Dojo Live. Thank you, David, for joining me today.
Sounds a pleasure.
Thank you. Bye. Have a good week, everyone.